Cello. We got one eye. We got one eye. Come on in the room. I knew that was going to happen.
One person on here?
I think that one person might be D. I know we like to give you a time to come in. Go to YouTube and see if you see it live. Hey, Mom. Oh, so you said that you wanted to know if you could see the comments. You can.
Right? What are you drinking? Me or her?
Hey, I didn't pick up a glass.
Decaf coffee.
She said, yuck. Well, good to know she can hear you. Hello?
Oh, okay.
Where you see it at? You saw it respond?
This response?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even. Oh, you know why? I got the headphones.
But we can
off.
always
No, I got the headphones on.
like here.
Yeah, I didn't realize I had them on.
But we can always test like
Oh, they on now.
okay. See now.
Yeah, they on.
Oh yeah. Oh, see that? We're live.
Hey. All right, guys. We're also live on YouTube. So if you have friends that's been wanting to get on, because you got some people that's been telling us that they don't have Facebook or they don't go on Facebook, Love's Compassions Ministries, we are live right now as we speak on YouTube.
That second person might be me, I'm sure.
Or D. Now we're about to start in a minute. Look at the bottom and see what it is we're discussing. Remember, today's discipline versus yesterday's discipline. All right, guys. We are ready to talk. We are talking today about today's discipline versus yesterday's discipline. I can tell by the people that I have thus far that I do know that came in. My mama. I know old school discipline. I don't practice old school discipline, but I know old school discipline. Where my mother at? She's still on here? Mommy, what you know about old school discipline? Say something in the comments, please. Please. How many of y'all grew up on old school discipline? What do you mean when you say old school discipline, Tashara? What's the matter?
I have a shirt.
All right. Slowly back up without making a bunch of noise and go get it. So some of the things, as far as things that we were told, right? So when your parents give you instructions, spare the rod, spoil the child. This is what happens when your parents get old and they know Jesus now. I didn't want to give you scripture. Mommy, you didn't say spare the rod, spoil the child growing up. It was more like, because I said so. Do it again, see what happened. That kind of thing. That's more accurate. So I'm gonna need you to not give me politically correct answers via the Bible. Via the Bible. D, I see you in the comments. Tell me some of the old school that your mother gave you. I know you got it. I really didn't get disciplined much because I was scared to get in trouble. Could have fooled the heck out of me. But okay, we'll go with that. If you say so. All right, we got 3 eyes. I'm thinking those 3 eyes could be my mama, my wife, and maybe Jetty. So listen, while we wait for people to come in the room, we're going to pay some of these bills, right? I just like to say that. Where you wanted to go.
You don't have your book yet? Well, get it now. Broken But Not Defeated by Tashara Gilliard on Amazon.com. Want it autographed? Send an email, lovescompassion@gmail.com, and we will make sure you get your book today.
Look at that. We came back this week getting a little fancy. Got a little advertisement and stuff. But anywho, all right. I've been trying to get you guys engaged, but so far no one's responding very much. I mean, Dee did make a little statement, but the only thing she had to do was raise her voice, right? All right. So I had asked a question earlier to the missus. I said, do you think that yelling, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because she wrote in the comments, the only thing her mother had to do was raise her voice and she'd cry. This is not targeting my mother-in-law. This is generally speaking, because it was a lot of yelling, that took place back in the day, as well as laying on of hands. I asked my wife, do you think that yelling can cause trauma? She replied, no, with the ill confused face. So I was like, you don't think that yelling can cause trauma? She was like, no. I said, so you don't think people could be triggered by being yelled at frequently? And then she kind of modified her answer a little bit, right? So I actually did a little research. Now I did have one person, you guys let me know. I had one person mention that when we're doing definitions and stuff, that sometimes that can come off as school-like and less interesting. Let me know how we can change that up, or if you guys, want it changed up. I do think, why are you traumatized, moms? So I had looked up, here I go messing with this daggone Android. Jetty, how do I get to the pictures? I don't be knowing. So I had looked up if yelling could be traumatizing. And I don't know if those who don't know would be a little surprised to find out. It actually can be traumatizing. Just trying to figure out how to get to the picture that I had sent myself. There it goes. All right. So what it had said was, oh my gosh, Jesus, I can't. Let's go back to the text. There we go. All right. So if y'all didn't know, we are born with, what are you doing? We're born with natural hard wirings of emotions like sadness, fear, and anger, right? So it's stated that yelling, I actually wrote this down. Didn't I write it down? Yeah, yelling is traumatizing. It increases the emotional part of the brain, and it increases muscular tension, and it increases stress hormones in the bloodstream. So, your parents be yelling at you and you be like, you got my pressure up. You're actually taking up the pressure of the child as well when you're constantly yelling at them, believe it or not. So it says that being frequently yelled at as children changes how we think and feel about ourselves. Even after we become adults and leave home, you're still hearing your parents' voice yelling at you. Now, some parents may think that's good. Some parents may think that that's good, that, okay, when they're out there, they're going to hear my voice and they're not going to keep doing, they may stop doing what it is that they were doing. Well, we watched this show. I don't know if you guys saw it. But what's the name of that show that we watched? You remember, Jay, with the different parenting styles?
Yes, it was the parent test, was it?
I think that might have been what it's called. You'll come to find that kids that got yelled at constantly growing up can deal with depression, can deal with anxiety, as we know, but also they be fearful to try things because of the fear that was instilled in them by their parents. Jetty, do we yell at you a whole lot? You could be truthful. There's no judgment here. Ain't that what you tell me?
I wouldn't say a whole lot, but even when you guys do yell, it's necessary. Like, it's for a reason.
Because you're not listening? Is that why?
Man, when the people in your comments can be on audio surround sound, that's crazy. So your bonus mom said it's because you don't be listening.
Is that a question?
I don't think that was a question. I think it was an answer, a response. Go ahead with what you were saying, please.
What do you mean?
That's it? Like nothing else?
I answered your question.
All right. What you got? What you got going on? Continue. Go, please.
But right, so you did say you mentioned depression and I think anxiety, so something popped up in my head because it's something I did write though that well, if you watched our previous lives, I like to start with the definitions. First definition of the day. Discipline is the practice or of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior. Proverbs 29 verse 17 says, discipline your child and he or she will give you rest. He or she will give delight to your heart.
You're just going to read that? You're not going to say nothing about it? You going to say something or not?
No.
Bro, I can't. All right, so I see in the comments, right? It says, so are you supposed to be soft-spoken when trying to get your point across to the children? Maybe initially, but after a while, right? That's actually touching base on something that I did want to talk about, which is a parenting style that's actually used today called gentle parenting. I kind of got that kind of, parenting kind of down to a science. And I didn't even know it, honestly, because I didn't even know there was something called gentle parenting. I actually just recently was looking that up. And that's because, again, it was brought to my attention by the missus. So if y'all don't know what gentle parenting is, right? I'm going to show y'all something right quick, if y'all don't mind. Bear with me. There's only one eyeball. I guess we're not interested in today, but anywho. So this is something that the way it starts is the parenting that we saw coming up. So I'm going to show y'all this. I'm going to show you a couple videos, right? Not back to back to back.
Please get out the cabinet. Get your motherfucking ass!
So gentle parenting isn't talking to your child like, oh, little Billy, you got to stop. Stop that little bit. That's not gentle parenting. If I need a kid to do something, I'm going to walk up, hey, little Billy, this is what we're doing now. I'm going to say what you should be doing as opposed to what you shouldn't be doing. This is because the brain focuses on the things that you're telling it to focus on. So when you say, don't look at this gray folder, you're going to look at the gray folder, even though I told you not to, because it's in the face. It's what you're focusing. But if I were to say, hey, look at me, you're now going to look at me versus looking at the folder. So when you're yelling at your child, it's not because they're not focused on that. It's because you scared them so much that they're focusing on you. Instead of doing that, just say what they should be focusing on, which is you, or walk up to them and remove the distractor completely, getting on their level, moving them out of the way. Hey, we're doing this now. It's that simple.
So that was an explanation based on like what gentle parenting is. So what I would say as far as myself, right? When it comes to raising both my boys, for those who think gentle parenting don't work, I've watched y'all compliment and give accolades, I don't know how many times, about how wonderful of a job I'm doing. Thank you. Appreciate it. That does come from gentle parenting though. Does he get disciplined? He gets disciplined, but I don't go the old school way of just busting him upside his head or the cause I said so. I mean, I think every once in a blue, I might just throw that out there just to tap into my ancestors. But I try to make sure that they have a full understanding of what it is that I'm expecting of them and why it is that I expect that. I think everything that I do with them, I try to apply it in how they're going to experience the world in life. Would you say that's accurate, Jay?
That's accurate.
Could you elaborate on what I'm talking about as an example, right?
So there may be certain things that I say or do that you, and I'm not saying disciplinary wise, but like if we have a talk and I did something, you'll compare it to what that will look like when I grow up. So you're constantly teaching me, like, I wouldn't say what not to do, but you're constantly teaching me why I should or should not do something. But also, some parents discipline their child physically, like, hitting, spanking, whooping, all that. You guys don't.
What would physical discipline look like for you from us? You've experienced technically physical discipline from us. What did it look like?
I mean, in the past, I've been whooped before.
Whoa. The word whooped, I have a problem with. We whip slaves. Slaves were whipped.
Spank?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I ain't never whoop anybody. Continue.
Well, that was like years ago. And then what was I gonna say? Physical. Most of the time it was in the past, so I can't really think about a lot right now because I don't get, I don't get hit really.
Okay, but when I say physical discipline that we've done with you, I'm talking more along the lines of, do you recall horse dances? And
yes,
that's physical because your body is physically being disciplined.
Right. When I said physical, I meant hitting.
I understand.
But yes, so sometimes we'll have where it's like, horse stance, for example, like she just said. Horse stance is where you get in a stance as sort of as if you were riding a horse, where you do like a squat, one arm out, one arm in, and you stay like that. It's like an exercise. And then we have push-up
like
stance, which is really just a plank, where you sit and you sit like that. That hurts. It really does.
Well, it's not really sitting.
You stay like that.
Push-up stance, like he said, it's like a plank.
And then sitting on the wall, the one I really dislike is when, sort of like a horse stance, but both arms out or both arms up, and you're literally sitting on the wall, but not with the chair. You're squatting on the wall. That hurts as well. but never, it's never like slap or spank. Mm-mm. But it's necessary.
I'm more of a talker when it comes to disciplining. Actually, I talk till you blue in the face. I talk till I'm blue in the face. And at one point, I used to be concerned because, kids don't have a extensive attention span. So I'd have concerns, that maybe they're not really paying attention to what I'm saying or what have you. But my oldest son informed me that it may look like they're not listening, but mom, keep talking. Now, he told me this in his late adolescent years. Keep talking because he does hear me. So that made me proud, right? So I'll sit up there, and as Jetty has already stated, I try to relate anything that they're doing into the outside world. One of the things I constantly try to drive in is integrity. I feel like integrity is something that, like how love is like a foundation when it comes to how you treat people. I feel like integrity is a foundation of characteristics. So if you're doing something that's right because you know it's right, not because someone's watching you, not because someone told you to do it, but I know it's right, so I'm going to do it. I feel like if you can teach integrity to your kids, then you can help them with their growth as a character, right? So that would look something like if we have cameras in our house. And I really would appreciate if you guys who are on, put some input in there. Come on now. Put some input in there. Can't post comments. Oh no. But we have cameras in our house. So there's been times where the kid thinks he's getting away with something because parents aren't home. And this was before he realized the cameras were here. So he do something. We pull up the cameras all the time randomly. You see it? And then you ask him, what were you doing? Or did you do? Or however the question may be phrased to get them to acknowledge what it is that they did. They don't give the information on themselves. You pull up the camera. Show the footage on a big old screen television in the house. Now you tell me what we see in here. And then they got the dumb face on. Because they just been busted. Yeah. So I try to let them know that can be something outside in the street. You can go into a store, think that you're stealing something. Thank God I don't have problems with my kids stealing. But you can go into the store thinking that you're stealing something, or you could be somewhere thinking that you're going to get away with something because you don't see anybody around seeing you, not even realizing that there's hidden cameras. If they pull up the footage, you're guilty. Point blank, period. Don't matter what you say out your mouth. Correct?
Correct.
As far as the gentle parenting goes, now I remember there was a time where I was trained to teach foster parents, to train to qualify people who wanted to be foster parents. And I remember one of the first things that they implemented or suggested rather that we use as discipline is timeouts. I don't know about y'all. I'm not really here for a timeout. My timeout is going to be a horse stance. So that's actually what I would do. I would put you in that stance by way of definition of a timeout. A timeout is supposed to be 1 minute over your age. So if you got a 7-year-old child acting out, then that child is to be put in a corner or sat in a chair or separated from everything that they want to do for 8 minutes because they're 7. Now, the adults in the room was like, man, I'd like to take a time out because, they want to be separated from everything that they're responsible for a minute over their age. Did you have notes, questions, comments, and concerns?
I did.
What's
Now,
a bummer? Go ahead.
mentioned or you talked about gentle parenting. I did some research. I was really searching up different things and then searched up a random thing because I don't know why. So don't ask me why because I don't know. But it just popped up in my head and I searched up white versus Caucasian versus African American parenting.
That's interesting.
Now, I didn't get a lot of research on the Caucasian part, but on the African American or the Black, it said that we tend to use something called, I don't remember how to pronounce this, authoritarian parenting. Authoritarian parenting.
What sucks is I don't even think I'm going to be able to pronounce that properly.
Oh, yes, authoritarian parenting.
Yeah, that word looked crazy to me. I knew what it was, but I couldn't pronounce it.
Authoritarian parenting is pretty much just saying strict, extremely strict. Now, according to Google, it can be dangerous and it can lead to depression, anxiety, and aggression issues. I can see the aggression issues and maybe anxiety, but extremely strict I can see. But it's not always bad to be strict, in my opinion, because I feel like sometimes with certain kids or just certain times, if you're being all gentle and soft, it's like, well, they're not doing anything, then I'm just going to do it again. But if you are like raising your voice, or even not raising your voice, but being strict, then it's like, well, I learned my lesson. I know I'm not going to do this again.
You know, now that you mention that made me think about something that we dealt with Jay when he was growing up. So I know you guys know that we've already mentioned about issues that we had with Jay. If you've seen any of our previous lives, we've had discussions of behavioral issues that we had with Jay when he was growing up. Even though he's only 12, in his younger years. So one of the things that we knew about Jay was that if you told Jetty you was going to do something and you did not do it, he was definitely going to turn up. He was going to keep on doing what you said. Now, the first time Jetty tested this out in school, the teacher had told Jetty to go sit in the back of the room. They had like a desk in the back of the room that was separated from the regular group settings of the class. You know, clusters of desks with the different students was how the class was set up. Then there was a separate one in the back for the child that didn't know how to act. That was like a timeout. So she told him to go sit at the table in the back. On this particular day, he decided to test the teacher. He said no. She gave that instruction multiple times. He continued to say no. There was nothing else she could do. There was no consequences to that. She just told us. Once he realized that, she lost complete control of him. Anytime he was going to try her, he tried her. He didn't care about the consequences at home because there wasn't consequences in school. What he was stating earlier, he doesn't see anything wrong with a little bit of discipline because a little bit of sternness, because when I see you're not really turning up, I could just get away with it because you ain't gonna do nothing about it. He did the same thing. We tried to put him in martial arts with an old instructor that we had who had his own martial arts school. We tried to put him in martial arts to help. And I kept hitting him up like, all right, Jay did this, and this in school, or what have you. He was like, all right. I brought him in for the class at the night, like usual. He looked at me. He said, do you mind if I break him? I said, go ahead, break him. Because in my mind, he wasn't going to even break him. Took Jetty up front. That's where I first learned the horse stance. It really ain't nothing but a squat position, but with martial arts, you got your hands out kind of like this. Can't really get it in. There you go. Right? So he had him in a horse stance position for a while. He struck him to do it, what have you. Then after a while, when Jetty didn't want to do it no more, he stopped. And then he was giving him the orders, telling him to do it. He wouldn't do it. He'd stand there crying, still refusing to follow the direct order that was being given to him. So at the time, the school was set up in a church. They were using a church during off hours. So he took Jay and he had him up on the pulpit, had Jetty on a pulpit, gave him the exact same instructions. Jetty refused. Then he turned around, looked at me, not Jetty, the instructor, turned around, looked at me, and winked as to tell me, don't feel a way about what he's about to say. No problem. Do what you got to do. He turns back to Jay and he tells him, do the horse stance, or you're going to take off his belt and he going to beat him. So I turn and I look at my wife and I'm like, this finna go left because he's not going to beat him. I already know that. And Jetty's not going to ever respect him after that. And that's exactly what happened. He told Jetty to do what he was going to do. Jetty refused. Belt never came off. Jetty never got whooped. Jetty got away with what he was doing. So that being said, there was another video, because I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking. There was another video that speaks on gentle parenting, but as far as making sure, like it speaks on gentle parenting, but it also speaks on needing to make sure that when you set something in place and you say you're going to do it, you got to do it. Tune in. Let me know what y'all think.
If you're a parent of a toddler and you find yourself stuck in the loop of don't do that, no, stop, this video is for you. Something that always seems to work when it comes to kids is understanding that their brain works like Yoda speaks. Yes, you heard that correctly. And what I mean by that is negative language doesn't really work with kids. It kind of goes over their head, and that's why sometimes you might think a child is being spiteful or manipulative, but kids can't do that. They just really lack impulse control and sometimes don't really hear what you're saying the way you want them to hear it. Let me give you an example. No, stop jumping on the sofa. Using that example, when a child hears no, stop jumping on the sofa, the way they perceive language, they kind of zone out at the beginning and they'll definitely hear jump on the sofa. The difficulty with telling them what not to do is you're not telling them what to do. Now, before the anti-gentle parenting warriors come and tell me, oh my gosh, that's why you guys don't tell your kid, no, that's not how it is. We just use science and psychology to work with our kids' brains instead of against it, because we don't need power battles here. You can say no without saying no. Instead of stop jumping on the sofa, hey, feet on the floor please, bum on the sofa. Instead of stop running, walk please. And don't be afraid to set consequences, because that's also going to help you enforce what you're trying to enforce, whatever boundary you're trying to get them to understand. Setting your boundaries on what you want beforehand and actually carrying it through is going to help them to understand, shit is business. Do you know what I mean? So if you're out to eat and you told them already that you don't want them running around, you don't want them doing certain things, and they do that behavior while you're out and you've already given them the chances not to, if you said you're going to leave, leave. Yes, you might not be happy. Yes, you might want to stay. But that's why you only set consequences that you're actually going to follow through. Because if they learn that you're not going to follow through with what you say you're going to do, they're going to understand that they can test the waters and eventually get what they want. So a run through. Positive language goes a long way, and setting boundaries and going through with your consequences is what's going to save your life.
That's something I had to learn. We see your question. We definitely see your question. All right, I'm gonna put a pin in my thought. Jay, that question is for you.
Right. Question says, Jetty, do you feel like you get a balanced household with discipline, or do you feel like you get more softness or strict discipline? That is a good question. Most of the time, I feel like it's a balance. As I'm not going to say soft, because it's not really soft, but it's not strict either. Like Mommy said, she's a talker. So, she'll talk, she'll say something. While Miss Dion, on the other hand, will really raise her voice with that sternness, and she'll let you know, it'll make a child look at you and just be like, but at the same time, at times, if it's really that big of a situation, it's like, then, Mommy, it's like, now I gotta raise my voice. But that'll be the answer to that question. And Grandma.
I already did it on the screen, kind of, but go ahead. Back up, see if you can show it.
Take it off.
The question was asked. Take off what? Take off what?
The background real quick then.
The question was posed, what is a horse stance? I don't know how to take that off.
Oh, they can see me. So a horse stance S-T-A-N-C-E, stance. You get in a squat position. You put one hand next to your side and another hand that already hurts in front of you.
He
And
said
you
this already
stay like
hurts.
that
Until told otherwise.
until told otherwise. Now, being that it did hurt, and that it does hurt, I would cry. I would also cry when I sat on the wall because it's very similar to that. Can I be open?
Go ahead.
Let's be open.
Let's be open. Go ahead. Let's be open.
The longer I made noise, the longer I cried, was the longer I stayed there.
So that kind of reminded me of a punishment my mom used to do to me. So sometimes you get a little comfortable, you get a little relaxed. So sometimes I used to just like lean up on the wall, but I put my foot up, you know, that 1 foot chill swag on the wall. Apparently it wasn't so chill. So when I found myself with my foot on the wall, thinking I was chill and I was cool, and then my mama found me thinking I was chill and cool on the wall, she would make me put my hands interlocked, placed on the top of my head, face the same wall that I had my foot up on, and then take that same foot that I had up and remain with it up. Now remember, I'm facing the wall, so that foot ain't leaning on nothing. Neither am I. And I bet not lean on nothing. I get it now. My foot shouldn't be on the wall. Okay. But she'd have me stand there. Until when? Until she said otherwise. If the foot dropped, I was there that much longer. If I wiggled and waved around and stuff, she'd be yelling in the background. Then when I'm done, if anyone's ever done that, if you haven't done it before, when you walk away, you walking away like one leg is longer than the other. It is very uncomfortable. You know what she'd have the nerve to say? You want me to even it out? No, I don't want you to have me stand facing the wall with my other foot in the air. Now you got to try to look like you walking normal. That is a very hard task to do. Now, I have spoken to my wife in reference to her strict parenting, right? Not that I have anything wrong with the way she's parenting, because I do feel that it does give a balance in the house. Because like y'all just heard, my son said that he thinks I'm a punk. So he tries me anyway. Look, wait a minute. Wait. I didn't say that. Let me see the face. Wait, hold up. So his face was priceless just now, right? So she does give a balance with the type of discipline that she does, because if I'm the talker and I'm constantly just speaking and explaining everything, there does have to be a level, believe it or not, there does have to be a level of fear implemented in there. I might give mine from expressing to you the things that you're going to experience outside. That's not an imminent threat or consequence, because I'm telling him that he's going to experience it later, right? So when she comes in and she just is on 1,000 when he does something that she's told him not to do, or, whatever the case may be, then that's where, like he said, he'd be all upright, paralyzed or what have you. But one thing I do notice about that as well, as I have said to her, it still doesn't get you that desired outcome, because time passes and he does do it again. Am I lying?
No.
He's gonna do it again.
Factual
and
statement.
It's not that he's doing it because he wants to be defiant. He just ain't thinking. He's a kid. He's a boy kid. That's what they do. So sternness doesn't always get you what you want either, right? But I try to tell my wife and anyone who's dealing with discipline, don't stress yourself out. Like, the job is to get the kid to feel a way. about what it is that they're doing and not getting in trouble again, kind of thing. It's not for you to walk around here with high blood pressure because the kid is stressing you out. That's when you become their recon. Why did I say that? I say that because as a parent, one of the things that I had to learn that if my kid do something that really pisses me off, I got to calm down. That's where abuse tends to come in at. If you do not calm down first and you respond on that emotion, and that emotion is along an escalated anger.
Not saying that I'm abused.
And that emotion is on an escalated anger, then you might put hands on that kid and not deliberately harm them. You know, like maybe closed hands instead of a slap. Maybe a slap and they're light. So you end up with some type of scarring on you, or not a permanent scar, bruising on you. If you wear jewelry, maybe that hit just landed them with some type of, marking, picking something up and throwing it at them. I know that's old school. They'll pick up anything that's next to them. And before you know it, they done threw it at the daggone child. I've been on the other end of something thrown at me. And it can do more harm than good. I'm gonna stop switching the camera around. I was trying to help Jay with his sign. So one of the things that we always got to do is be sure to keep calm. If you that upset, you do take a time out. You take a time out. Now, one of the things I feel like my wife has thought or felt, if you take a time out and then you come back, the kid doesn't get an authentic discipline because now you're not mad no more. So you might not respond like you would have when you were upset. I agree with that because that's true. You're not going to respond the same way, but I don't think that that's a bad thing, right? I have something I wanted to share that I came across. Bear with me, guys.
But I would like to say something to go with what you were saying. It is actually a good thing with any kid. If you give them like a space, like a little bit of time, and then come back when you are feeling different, it's going to be different because they have that feeling like, I don't know how to explain
I was about to say, we're not frozen. He's stuck.
I don't know how to explain it, but like, it doesn't give that scarce, like that fear, like if you're raising your voice and you're mad or just telling that you're mad, like gives the feeling of like, oh, like you sort of want to back up. But then if you're not and you come back at a later time, it's like, I understand. Think of it as a therapy session. In a therapy session, your therapist is not going to scream at you and just be like, because then it's just like, what did I do wrong? Not saying that you didn't do something wrong, because that whatever conversation or talk you guys are having has to be necessary. You wouldn't just be doing that for no reason. But that's all I had to say.
All right. Check this out. Tell me what you think.
Teach parents how to self-regulate so they can gentle parent. I got you. Here is my #1 tool that I use for self-regulation. Anytime someone or something is getting on my nerves, I use this tool. The tool is Q-tip. It stands for quit taking it personally. I learned this tool from the Giant Institute for Parenting, and I use it literally every single day. A lot of our big emotions stem from feeling attacked, feeling like someone is attacking our values, attacking our competencies or abilities, and whenever we feel disrespected. And kids can make us feel attacked on a daily basis. So if you can quit taking things so personally about what your kid is doing or saying, it will help a lot with your big emotions. If your kid's not listening to you, Q-tip. If your kid makes a mess and doesn't clean it up right away, Q-tip. If your kid is using backtalk, Q-tip. Because we have to acknowledge that kids are going to do and say things that are going to piss us off. It's just a part of life. The more you take personally, the more harder you're going to make it on yourself. So whenever your kid's getting on your nerves, Q-tip.
What did I just say? It's not for you to take it in. It's not for you to stress yourself out. So I placed that up there. And please, again, I would love to hear what you guys thought about what she was stating. Does anyone practice this? Has anyone heard of it? Do you agree with it? That kind of situation. But if you realize and you approach a kid from the standpoint of a kid, which should not be difficult, because if we put aside what we experienced discipline-wise growing up, right? Not if it was me, what my mama would have did, or what my daddy would have did, or had I dared looked at my mama like that. Those are things that I would definitely agree to say that is personalizing something. Think about it from the standpoint of a child. Now, it's hard because sometimes, you can't get that out of somebody's head. Like when I mentioned it to my wife, like, we were all kids. When you was growing up, she'd be like, I wouldn't dare. All my mom had to do was look at me. Again, that's personalizing it. That's making it how you would have been. Think about your emotions and your feeling as a child when you did stuff. I'm doing it because it feels good. Then doing it because it, the hormones it releases has an excitement to it. I like that feeling. I'm going to continue to do it because I like that feeling. So when you're coming across and you're asking a child, let me give you an example, right? Jay, you said we could be completely transparent and honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we had a situation some years back when Jetty was in elementary school. I don't know, maybe the 4th grade, maybe somewhere around, I don't know. You wasn't here for 4th grade, maybe the 5th grade.
I was here for 4th grade.
You wasn't in 4th grade in Florida?
No, I was in 2nd grade. I went up to
second and third down there?
First
You did
and
too.
second.
First and second. Okay. So 3rd grade, you were here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It could have happened anywhere between the 3rd and the 5th grade. Not really sure. Jetty went to school, free balling. What's free balling? Jetty went to school without any underwear on in his clothing, right? It felt good to him. I don't know if it was a sense of freedom or what, but he went to school free balling and he was so excited about it that when he came home, he was like, I was free balling in school today. I tripped out because I'm like, why would you go to school with no underwear on? What if somebody would have found out? Now, why would I even say what if someone would have found out? Because why would anybody be noticing he doesn't have underwear on underneath? I don't know. But that was the thing I said. What if someone would have found out? It would look like we're neglecting you. We don't provide you with the clothing that you're supposed to wear. I personalized it. I took it as a personal attack, right? As the young lady just said, don't personalize it. I had a conversation with a spiritual mentor friend of mine, which I'm surprised is not on here. Why she got to tell the embarrassing stories? I'm a mother. That's what we do. We tell embarrassing stories. But so what was brought to my attention, and I had to realize it. What about him going to school free balling? Where was the actual imminent danger or problem with it? No one knew he was free balling until he brought it to our attention. Who did he hurt? What was the problem that came out of it? There was no responses for that. No problems came out of it. No one got hurt. So it didn't really hurt anyone. So I calmly had to speak to him and just let him know that it's just not something that you should do. You shouldn't go to school without underwear on, because at no point do we want anything that can resemble neglect. And while no one should be knowing that you don't have underwear on, it still can look like neglect, like you don't have the proper attire that you should be outside your house with. So I had to calmly express it to him instead of flipping out and making it personal, right? But I did tell him if you wanted to, you could free ball in your room when you go to bed. That's between you, if that's what you would like to do. So again, I didn't make it personal. And I gave him the freedom to be comfortable. I just let him know there's a time and a place. This is where you can do it, but you should not do it in school.
Like that video said, that other video we watched, with the stop, no, don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to necessarily be like that. But for you, I felt like it was a balance, because you was explaining, no, don't do that. But there's a time where you can do that.
Balance, guys. Discipline in the old school, I feel like gave more of a fear factor. And let the truth be told, it really was more of a controlling factor than a teaching factor. I feel like the parenting that some of us, I'm gonna say some of us because I don't know how many people really do it. The parenting of today's generation is more of a teaching factor. Now, I know some people would disagree. They'd be like, what, with these kids out here running the streets, rampant, doing whatever, all they needed, if their parents would have whipped then they wouldn't be doing this. Excuse me. That's not necessarily the case. We don't do that. The generations of the us's, we don't do it. Yes, we were disciplined. Yes, we were put fear, fear was instilled in us. But we're not even in a generation or in a time in this place in this world today where we can discipline our kids the way our parents disciplined us. You will guarantee lose custody of your children today. These kids are too knowledgeable of all of the rights that they have. They will make a phone call and have you locked in the jail, under the jail, and every kid got to come out the house. It's just, it doesn't make sense. Like, it's easier to learn a new way. As time changes, it is okay to change with the time. No one's saying that you don't have to discipline your kids. No one's saying let them get away with stuff. But all that, if they would have just got they whipped, they would have been better. When Jay was doing what Jay was doing when he was growing up, that's something that the naked eye, you see him, let him keep going, never find out what's wrong with him. That's exactly what it would have been. If his mom would have just whipped his behind, he wouldn't have been doing all that. He got spankings. Did he get them all the time? No. He got spankings. He got reward systems. He got things taken from him. He got yelled at. He got PT, physical therapy, in the sense of horse stances, planks, squat positions and such. He got the, you want to act like the inmates, then I'm going to feed you like the inmates, oatmeal, bread, and like he got all types of different types of discipline, physical discipline as well. None of those things changed his behavior. So one would look and go, what's wrong with this kid? Blah, 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 blah. And then he get out there in the world, is never diagnosed, never looked into. You just be like, he should have got his behind whipped, not knowing that he did. It took us going to get him tested, strenuously tested at the Child Mind Institute, and finding out that it was just a chemical situation going on. He used to say, it's not that I want to do it. I don't want to do these things. I just can't seem to stop. That's a cry for help.
I used to always say that because it's like, it's just what it was. It was like, what do you call it? ADD. No, like you just go to it.
Impulsive,
yes.
So
it was like an impulse.
I know another thing that, I don't want to say, because I don't want to make this a race thing, Black parents versus other culture parents, but I do know that it's a habit. It's a habit for people to not want to look at getting their kids tested, right? Somebody always wants to say something is wrong with the kid. They just want to put your kid on medication, right? You hear what she said?
Yes.
So people have a tendency of they don't want to put their kid on medications. I get it. I didn't want to put my kid on medications. We've had that talk before, guys, where I said I didn't want to put my child on medication. What I learned is that, I'm sorry, I'm reading people's comments. Yeah, I know I can't do too much at one time. I get distracted. But
What you learned about the medication?
Thank you. I lost my entire train of thought. Thank you, wife. So I thought putting my child on medication at first, my concerns. I don't want him sluggish. I don't want him dragging. I don't want my son is a very bubbly kid, very excited, easily stimulated. That sounds crazy to say, but he knows what I mean by that. I didn't want that to change. So I decided, the groceries are here, y'all. I decided to go and get him tested because while I may not want him to be changed mentally where, someone got in the way of how he operates or medication got in the way chemicals get in the way of how he operates and such. I had concerns. So I had my child tested. And in that testing, it included me, right? So they gave him an MRI. They had a full day that was like an academic school day where he was given work to do. While he was being tested, I had redundant questionnaires of the same questions over and over and over again, just worded all types of different ways to see a consistency. And they came to let me know hyperactive impulsive ADHD. If you don't get it medicated, or if you don't treat it, not medicated, if you don't get it treated in a timely fashion, then that impulsivity that he has can translate in adult life. So whereas him saying, I don't want to do it, I just can't control myself. Now, when he becomes an adult, I don't want to do it, I just can't control myself. He's grabbing on chicks randomly, sexually assault. I'm naming things, right? He's going around, he's stealing stuff, or he's going around and he's breaking stuff, or whatever those impulses may be in the moment. He's never really been a follower, thank God. I always said since he was a baby, like no one's ever going to be able to make him do anything because you just can't. Like he does it if he wants to. Doesn't matter what that consequences is. So it's okay to give them medicine. It's not always, if his mama would have beat his what have you, he wouldn't be that way. He does display his creativeness, but the medication that he's on helps him to not be all over the place. He's actually able to focus. The creativity we get from him now actually looks structured, if that makes sense. He still has a lot of things that he's into, but he can sit down for a period of time and actually edit a video, edit a podcast, create videos, create podcasts, draw, write full out stories. Before, he couldn't sit long enough to do anything. So yes, he did need to be able to display his creativeness, but he needed help being able to focus. And that's what the medication does. Am I right, Jay? You can elaborate. You can say something if you want.
No, you're right. But I would like to talk. So what was I gonna say? Oh, back to discipline. So if you watched our most recent live, we had the topic of abuse. Now, some people can get discipline and abuse mixed up because what may seem like abuse is only discipline. What may seem like discipline is really abuse. So, like I said before, discipline is all about teaching rules and regulations to kids and following up on the consequences. But abuse, on the other hand, is crossing limits to when you hurt someone so much that it leads to severe physical, psychological, or emotional damage. So, if a parent happens to spank their child for a reason and for a good reason, that it was necessary, that it was good enough, like that is a good consequence, then that is called discipline. But if a parent were to punch their child in their face, or if a parent were to literally get a belt and hit their child for something that wasn't necessary and wasn't as bad that it needed that would be abuse.
So you mean if I was to just no, just kidding.
Yeah, someone who would want to hurt this precious face.
Ooh, I'm gonna need the Lord to simmer down that conceitedness that you got going on over there, buddy. Some adults need discipline. That's a factual statement. Yes, some adults need discipline. So we're not going to be before you guys much longer, right? So one of our guests shared a video, and I'm not trying to run into the ground the gentle parenting aspect. for those of y'all that are watching, I want you to tell me how you would have dealt with this and how you feel about the way in which they dealt with it in the video. Personally, I just finished watching the video. That's why you saw me outside. Tell me what y'all think.
What did you do?
I cut it off, and then I put it down here. I put it on the table, and then I put it by the picture.
Oh, wow. You did a really good job, Max.
I did.
Yeah. Yeah, does it feel better? It's not in your face anymore?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And I cut it a little bit more.
Yeah, go for it. You may as well now. Yeah, not the top, though. Not up at the top, but yeah. Oh.
I'm gonna cut a little bit up here.
Oh, you know what? How about we go upstairs and then how about we cut it together? Do you want to do that?
Yeah, with my scissors.
Oh, okay. Well,
your scissors.
Or you know what? Maybe we should just leave it and then we can go to a hairdresser and she can make it really fancy. Should we maybe stop and
paint my hair?
You want to do what? Sorry.
I want to paint my hair.
Paint your hair?
Yeah, because I want it to be different color, like pink.
Oh wow.
I want it to be dyed.
Dyed pink?
Yeah,
oh,
dyed
look at
pink.
that. That's an interesting shortness. And Dad said he didn't like the way I cut your hair, but I think we have a winner. Hey? Okay. No, let's leave it at that. Okay, bun? No more.
I want to see.
I have mixed emotions about that.
All right. Let's talk.
Part of me says the fact that she was going very gentle with it and the fact that she was like complimenting it, going with it, has me like, I mean, that's good because, it's not like yelling at your child like, no, why would you do that? But, because the child didn't feel that much of a way. But also the other half of me is saying the fact that she was doing that is like her saying, oh yeah, you can do it again. It's so nice. I want you to do it again. So now I feel like in that child's brain, it's like, mommy likes it. I guess I'll do it another time one day.
I get it. What are your thoughts? I love the way she handles it. Yes. What are your thoughts? Personally, me, right? That's not my head. Granted, that's my child. And I feel like the way in which my child leaves my house is a representation of me. I also constantly I say it to my wife, I say it to my friends. If you do not allow a child to do things that kids want to do when they're a kid, when they become an adult, they're going to be an overgrown child because they're going to be trying to live their childlike dreams. I have a 20-year-old son who asked me to buy him Heelys for Christmas. Why? Because he always wanted Heelys when he was growing up and he never got them. Then you got kids or adults out here who wanted to color their hair in their adolescent years and their parents didn't let them. So now they grown and they walking around with green hair trying to get a corporate job. Just it's a whole different atmosphere. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with somebody that want to walk around with green hair. I'm not saying that. I'm just stating if you allow the child in this video, this young lady wanted to cut her hair. Who knows? Maybe it's somebody that she looks up to that they have a hairstyle that she likes and she wants it. She didn't have sharp scissors, so that's a plus. The mom gently guided her to let her know, okay, it's cool that you're cutting it or what have you. It looks nice, but let's not cut the top. And then if you paid attention, you notice that as the little girl began to agree with the mom will push the envelope a little more, right? So it was like, okay, no, we don't want to cut it at the top. All right. Then it was, how about we go upstairs and we cut it together? And then when the little girl was like, yes, we can do that. She was like, but I want you to use my scissors, not your scissors. She was like, matter of fact, how about we go to the salon and let them style it? But then the little girl pushed back. Oh, well, I want to color it. Can we dye it? I want it pink. So gentle parenting I'm totally for it, in all honesty. Yes, I do understand that you cannot gentle parent every child. And I do understand that as a kid grow up, your parenting may have to be a little more firm than gentle. Get it. Totally get it. Agree with it. Understand it. But I just don't think that we should be making kids like, one of the things that I say is to my wife, I've said this plenty of times, where she got to get on Jay in the morning for something. I'm like, I do not want him to go to school in a disturbed spirit. I don't want him leaving the house stressed or frustrated. That's what I feel like when it comes to parenting. I do not want to break my child's spirit. I do not want him to walk around sad because he got in trouble. I want him to understand that he did something that he shouldn't have did. And I want him to understand why it's something he shouldn't have done. And what can we do to keep this from happening? I've had plenty of times where I'll be like, what do you think your consequences should be? And I'll let him tell me what his punishments should be. And he's not a kid that'll sit up there and take advantage and be like, oh, I think that you should, and then say something that's far-fetched, that's not beneficial. I'll go ahead. And if I feel like whatever he's stating, I want to ante it up, I'm going to ante it up. And he already knows that. So I just feel like parenting also sets a foundation for how your kids are going to be. Discipline sets a foundation for how your kids are going to be. Because at the end of the day, the world disciplines our kids every day and our adults, right? You do something that you're not supposed to do that's considered illegal, you're going to have a consequence. You drive your car faster than you're supposed to, you're going to have a consequence. So I try to let them know that there is consequences, but it doesn't have to be something that is drastic and physical. I let him know I'm going to do what I'm going to do here, because when you go out in the street, the cops don't care nothing about you. And what they're going to do may end up being permanent. Any questions, any comments, any concerns, anything else that needs to be said? Andre? No?
Oh, yes. Well, I don't know if it's a little bit too early for this, but I would like to say, as you guys know, if you look in the corner right there, my mom has a book. We talked about it before. If you were in the beginning, you would have saw the commercial. I don't know. Should we play that again or no?
You can play it again if you want.
All right, here's the commercial for you, so I don't have to say a whole bunch of stuff. You don't have your book yet? Well, get it now. Broken But Not Defeated by Tashara Gilliard on Amazon.com. Want it autographed? Send an email, lovescompassion@gmail.com, and we will make sure you get your book today. There that was. But also, she cuts hair.
Like the little lady that was cutting hair. You
Yeah.
can't do that because you're about to do
Like the little
other
lady
thing.
that was cutting hair.
Listen, before he go ahead and play this video, let me just say something right quick. First off, we thank you for tuning in. We thank y'all for taking time out of your Saturday and turning on your screen, your phone, or whatever it is to give us your time. That's something that we truly are grateful for. You could have done anything else, but you came and you spent some time with us to listen and hear our views and opinions on today's discipline versus the yesterday's discipline. Thank you for that. As Jetty mentioned, I am a barber. I am what they call a mobile barber. Why? Because I move. I move around. You call me, you need a haircut, we discuss it. That being said, if you guys need haircuts, I know it's prom season and all that, graduation and all that coming up. Please feel free, hit me up so that you guys can hire me. Oh, didn't Jetty do such a great job? My son created that video, y'all. Now, one of the things, if y'all notice, anyone who's been tuning in, that we are trying to grow as a podcast, right? So at this time, we've learned some things. We had a nice little meeting with Craig the Writer Stewart.
Craig the Writer Stewart.
Awesome gentleman who's also, you know, if you guys aren't already a part of his YouTube fan club, Patreon and all that, join it. They have some great different types of conversation and such or what have you. He has different guests on, and it's just some day-to-day just kicking it as well, just watching him as he lives. It's pretty cool. I think he's an awesome dude.
Go subscribe to him, follow him.
Please, definitely. That being said, these things cost money, right? I hate panhandlers. I'm not looking to panhandle. But until we do supply a Cash App for donations, because, you know, we bought mics, we got the microphones, you know, you got the ring light, you got subscriptions because we got to subscribe to be able to put this stuff out there the way in which we do. And we've been getting a lot of feedback. I thank y'all for that. We've been getting a lot of people following my little YouTube. It's growing. It's growing. We had like 12 little followers. Now we're like double and it's climbing. Appreciate you guys for that.
Not even more.
So at some point, yeah, we will definitely ask and encourage you guys to definitely give donations so we can keep up the subscribing and stuff. But this is actually something that you can get for your bread, with an exception of just the information and knowledge, right? Jetty mentioned earlier, and for those who was on from the beginning, caught my book, Spoken Word.
One more time, we've got. You don't have your book yet? Well, get it now. Broken But Not Defeated by Tashara Gilliard on Amazon.com. Want it autographed? Send an email, lovescompassion@gmail.com, and we will make sure you get your book today. Like I said, you can email us at lovescompassion@gmail.com. You can text for prayers or topic suggestions, 347-699-5722. Repeat, 347-699-5722. Make sure you subscribe. Loves Compassion Ministries on YouTube, apostrophe, and loves. And make sure you follow us on Facebook.
Turn that bell notification on.
And like.
Ta-ta.
We would appreciate it.